everyone. Welcome back to AEC Today Reports. My name is Latasha Hewitt, your host for the evening. We're so happy that you tuned in. We're hoping you're having another great week. And of course, this is the last week of Black History Month. We hope you've enjoyed celebrating this rich history. We have a wonderful program lined up for you. We're going to talk more about money management and life insurance. That's something some of us still are a little fuzzy about. We're going to go into some details about that. We're also going to talk to one of our pastors about how he and his church are celebrating Black History Month. We're going to have another question for Dr. McCleary, Ask the Pastor. And then, of course, we'll have a little fitness tip with Faye at the very end. Of course, we got to mix in the Sabbath school sauce with our girl Tiffani Claiborne, and we'll end with a video of the week. We have all of those wonderful things coming up. Make sure you share this on your platform so that others can view it. All right, guys, we'll be right back after this break.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
All right, everyone, welcome back to AEC Today Reports. We are happy once again to have one of our favorite segments, which is money management. And you all know our goal is to help all of us be better stewards and honor what God has given us by the way of money, as well as other things. But we're going to have our guest expert, financial advisor extraordinaire. We've been enjoying these segments for the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure this week will be no different. Welcome, Havis Bardouille.
Wow, you said it perfectly.
We're working
on it. Yes. I love that.
So yeah, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm having a great week. What about you?
Awesome. Feeling positive. And I always get excited about these types of segments because I know I'm going to leave with something that's going to enrich my life and prepare me for what's to come. So I'm always excited. And, you know, we've covered a little bit about why people need a financial advisor. We've talked about the importance of planning for retirement, not just all the things you want to do, but actively putting funds aside. And now we're going to talk about a subject of life insurance. Dun, dun, dun. And I'll be the first to say, even when I was purchasing additional life insurance, it was different for me than, say, deciding to put more into my 403b. One, when I'm putting into my life insurance, I'm putting into me dying. You know, it's like I'm putting into my death. Whereas, you know, for retirement, you're like, yes, I'm putting into my life, you know? So it kind of has that negative connotation for some people. So they don't really look at it as closely as they should until someone in their family dies. Am I right? I mean, what's been your experience in terms of how people look at life insurance? Is it something that we recognize as necessary in general?
Well, I have to agree with you. Life insurance, death is morbid. So a lot of people think death, oh, I'm going to die, you know, and so they run from it. And then usually what I've seen in churches, even in Adventist churches too, someone passes unexpectedly and then they can want to keep passing the basket over and over and they want to do GoFundMe.
Right.
And this is just a little plug here. I tell people, anybody who knows me and they know what I do cannot hit me up on a GoFundMe for a death of a family or friend. They can't. Because there is something you can do prior. Now, if someone didn't know, I can understand, you know, or someone in a third world country trying to assist, but not in America. I'm very adamant about that. So therefore, I will agree with you. Death is morbid, so people don't think. So I have a solution.
Oh, please tell us.
Think about living.
Okay.
See, life insurance people think is about dying,
Okay.
How about if you can use life insurance as living benefits? Think about that. Think about the legacy. God forbid, if something happens to you, I'm talking to you now.
Mhm.
Um, breast cancer is prevalent among women, and men get it too. That's a critical illness. Some people get strokes. Some people get end-stage renal failure. I have, some my church who has. And the point I'm trying to make here is simply this: there's a critical illness, critical injury, chronic illness, chronic injury. If those things happen to you, do you have a pool of money that you can access so someone can come and clean, do laundry? What if you're single? I mean, you have a spouse, so your husband would have to help out. But what if you were single? How are you going to do those things? Most people don't think about that. Earlier, we talked about, I think last week we talked, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about, having long-term care in your 60s.
Mhm.
Well, living benefits is similar to that. It's not the same thing because you can kind of use it if you can't do two of the activities of daily living, and there's six of them. You know, like they're like like bathing,
Okay.
continence, dressing, transferring, toileting, eating, stuff like that. If you can't do two of the six, and the doctor certifies that, your living benefits kick in. And if you have a critical illness, that kicks in. So what I keep telling people, stop worrying about dying and think about living. And don't think about the old kind. We call it the old kind. The old kind of insurance was a kind you had to die and someone benefits from. How about we use the new kind where you can use it as living benefits? As a matter of fact, if someone is self-employed, we can use life insurance to create a pension they can never outlive. Guaranteed.
Ooh. Okay, you're talking some stuff here now. Okay.
Yes.
So you're exposing us to things that we don't always hear about. I mean, I know for me, when I think life insurance, I think, okay, it kicks in when you die and your family gets it. So it's not even money you'll even see or benefit from. But you're sharing with the living benefits. If, those situations happen to you, you can still use some of those funds to assist you at that stage of when those things happen in your life where how many of the six?
Two.
Four. If the
Two
doctor,
of the six.
two of the six. Okay.
Yeah, two of the six activities of daily living. They call it ADLs. But I'll tell you one more thing. You see, earlier we just said that, you know, death is morbid, right? But
Mhm.
stop thinking about it emotionally.
Okay.
Think about it logically. And what I mean by that is, yes, death is part of life. You know that. And even especially most people who be watching this might be Seventh-day Adventists. Plus, one of our 20th fundamental beliefs is that, the state of the dead. We understand that. But you still have to prepare. And what happens earlier, we talked about ruling from the grave. Think about avoiding probate and having your children or your spouse or whomever have whatever you want them to have whenever they want it to have. And life insurance can do that. In America, in the United States of America, I believe there's four things that you can get as a guaranteed income. One is Social Security, one is a pension, right? One
Yeah.
is an annuity, and one is life insurance, right? Four things.
Four.
But guess what? Only one of them is tax free.
Mm.
Life insurance.
Life.
Because your Social Security, people still have to pay taxes if they make too much. Your pension too much. Annuities are tax deferred because you're paying taxes at distribution. But the life insurance is tax free. You can get a lifetime income. Think about it this way. I tell this to entrepreneurs all the time. Even though you have Social Security, or even though you are a worker in corporate America or as an educator or anywhere, and then you have a pension, and then you get an amount. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have augmented your retirement with a guaranteed income? I don't know, 3,000 a year, a month, additional 2,000, additional
Yeah.
15,000. I mean, the way I designed it for a young man, he's a massage therapist. He has no 401k, no 403b, none of that. And when he retires, he's 30 years old. He makes a lot of money sometimes when he dumps it in, and this guy will be making about, basically, if I remember the numbers correctly, about, we're talking about Social Security now, an additional $30,000 a year tax free.
Mm.
Tax free. And that's what people should be thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that being said, I think we've pretty much established it's necessary. Now, there's so many options out there, term life, this life. What is your recommendation for the type of insurance that the type of life insurance we should invest in?
Well, I will tell you this. There's different kinds of life insurances. Term life is like renting an apartment, right? At the end of the term, three things can happen. There, you leave, they renew your lease, or you actually, or they raise it. Right? So with term life, when the term's up, if you wanted to keep it, you're going to pay the rate at your current age. That's term. Whole life is a level premium. So let's say you have a premium, your premium now is $50, $100, $500, whatever it may be. That's this level until it endows. And in most policies endow at 120. Some companies can make it go earlier, but 120, they figure if you get a policy by 120, they've made their money over by investing the premiums over the years, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have universal life. And universal life is a flexible premium. And that's the one, I recommend. I like the index universal life. The
Okay.
reason why I like those, you can overfund it. And I explain that in a moment. And you have the variable universal life. Variable is the one like it's a security. Like it's invested in mutual funds and stocks, bonds, and it goes up and down.
Down with the market.
But the equity index universal life, I love it because you participate in the gains of the market, but you're not in the market. In other words, zero is the hero. So let's say the markets were crazy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't lose a penny. But if the markets were great, you get a percentage of the markets, of the gains, and that goes into your cash value. But the important thing about an index universal life, and I recommend everyone should have one. You have a social security number, you're a United States citizen or a legal alien with a green card and a social security number, you need an IUL. I don't care who you get it with, me or whomever, but you need one. The important thing about it is this. You can overfund it. There's a minimum you can put, but you can't put a minimum for too long because it'll die. And there's a level or target premium that'll go until it endows. And then there is the guideline level, the highest amount you can put where you can overfund it so that you can. Remember, we talked about life insurance is something people think about dying.
Right.
This is where you use life insurance to actually live on. You can use it as a bank. As a matter of fact, I can make the National Bank of Hewitt, where you never take a loan from a bank. Everything you need to do, you do it from your life insurance policy, and you pay it back unstructuredly. I'll give you an example. Banks, I tell everybody, yeah, I have a checking account, but my check just go in there. I don't save in banks. I keep telling people, think about this for a moment. A bank cares about interest and fees. Let's say you bank at Wachovia. Go to Bank of America and use the ATM. They'll charge you $2, $4, whatever.
Right.
If you even though you have overdraft protection on your checking account, bounce a check, they'll charge you $32. Your credit card payments, your late payment, they'll charge you $25. Your car payment, same thing. What I'm trying to tell individual is if you have an IUL that you've overfunded over the years, you can borrow money not from yourself, from the insurance company. And the funny thing about it is, think about this for a moment. If you have $500 in the bank and you take out $300 to buy a microwave, you would get interest on $200. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you have an IUL and you have $500 saved and you borrow $300 to buy a microwave, you're still getting interest on $500. How does that work?
Oh.
That's what I educate people on. We don't have time today to go over all the concepts. If people want more information, they know how to contact me. At the end of the show, they will see my number or my email address, and I'll be happy to schedule a virtual appointment with you because of COVID. Some people want to see you. I'll wear masks and gloves. I'll come and see you. It doesn't matter what state you're in. But the important thing is that you have to know what your options are.
Yeah.
Stop using yourself as a bank because you're paying back unstructuredly. Don't pay your mortgage for a few months. Don't pay your car for a few months. Your house will be in foreclosure. Your car will be repossessed. You have to park it over your boy's house so nobody can't find it. And the important thing is that you have to pay it back structurally and your credit is ruined. With what we're talking about, using life insurance to do these concepts, you pay it back unstructuredly. We're in a pandemic right now, right? Let's say you had for $30,000 on your IUL and you couldn't pay back the loan that you borrowed for the past March will be a year. Pandemic, there's no penalty. Zero. Try that with your bank or for your mortgage.
Hmm.
I'd have to take you in later.
I know, right?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, and I think that's the important thing about knowing what your options are. I mean, yeah, you're saying things that I never even knew existed, which is great because now I know how to do my research, and that's why we have people like you that can help us work our way through some of this thing. Like you said, you've been doing this for what, over 25 years. You've been
I have 35 years of experience.
35.
I started in banking, but on the insurance side, I've been doing it on the insurance side since 97. But the important thing about it is this, though. Even when you start as a 22-year-old on a job and they give you life insurance on your job, you
Right.
just basically rent it. It's like having a company car. When you leave, you can't take it with you. So what
Right.
you do is have something that's portable, something that you own, and something that, and like I said, because of the different kinds of insurances, for example, most people don't know this, and I usually do this. There is something called the MIB. I'm going to talk about Men in Black. It's the MIB that's for the medical information based in brain insurance. And what they do is, you didn't know this. I'm going to tell you this. You, every time you go to your gynecologist or you go to your doctor or your annual, you see them writing stuff,
Yeah.
that might be. It's kind of like your credit. It's like your insurance credit, right? And then when you apply for insurance, they use many factors, things like, I don't know, your driving record, your credit, different things, but your medical. That's why they can look at what prescriptions you take. Because think about it this way, they're underwriting you for a sum of money. Because in theory, if you paid one premium when you die, by law, they contracted to give your beneficiary a death benefit of X, whatever X may be. So the MIB, most people don't even know. They don't even know what's in the MIB. So what I tell them is that contact the MIB, Medical Information Bureau in Braintree, Massachusetts, find out what's in there. Because there may be some erroneous information, just like your credit. And make sure you know that. Because, for example, my policy, when I got mine a few years back, after I got married, I got like $1 million policy. Well, not because I'm a vegan, not as vegan, but I'm a vegan. And, healthy, and I had elite rates because there's nothing. Because my health, I take no medication. I have not. Thank God. I'm not saying because I don't take any medication, I'm better than anyone else. What I'm saying is, I value that. You got to value your health, like
Mm-hmm.
credit. Health is wealth. What we do at Bardouille Financial Services in partnership with American Capital, we parlay health into wealth. You use your health to help make generational wealth using life insurance.
I like that. You're kind of paralleling it to like your credit score. Your health score, your health can impact how you benefit from the. Okay, I like that. So that's a way to look at that. Now, as we're wrapping up, I know when we talked about how much we should have saved up for retirement, you gave us that $1 million figure. I just heard you throw out a number in terms of life insurance. In general, most people, how much should they have in their life insurance policy?
Well, it depends. It depends on what you have to protect. See, you cannot. If you just average Joe, you can't go for a $50 million policy. I mean, what are you protecting? Your income. They can verify your income if they wanted to. Usually, they just ask what's your income. So this is my rule. If you own a home, make sure you have enough life insurance to cover that in case something happens to the primary breadwinner or either one of the parents. All right. Some families, it's a single family. All right. Secondly, if you have minor children, if you have a 2-year-old and you're making 75 grand a year for 20 years, 75 times 20, let's do the quick math. And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, because think about it, because that 2-year-old is going to need you. That 2-year-old is going to need you for 20 years. 75 times 20, that's $1.5 million.
Wow.
Because that child is going to need that income because the lifestyle for the 2 years has to sustain. And obviously with interest and with not life expectancy, but with inflation, it
Right.
might be more expensive. Because when I was a kid, in Boston, you could buy a soda for 25 cents. I don't think you can do that now. The point I'm trying to make here is simply this: you have to know where you at, where you want to get to, and remember, if you're working, and it depends on your age. If you're a 22-year-old or 25, you can get 40 times your annual income.
Yeah.
If you're in your 30s or 40s, and you have children, you have a home, you got to make sure that's protected. And also, if your kids have to go to post-secondary education, if they want to go, how are you going to fund that? Everybody wants their kid to be smart and get scholarships, but it
Right.
doesn't. You may have to get loans, but you could also use life insurance. We have a way of showing families how to use life insurance to fund post-secondary education. There is a security called a 5 to 9 college savings plan. Well, 5 to 9 college savings plans are
Yeah.
secure, and it goes up and it goes down. They have the certain ones where you can prepay, and they have, but it still fluctuates. What you can do is you can overfund an IUL and use the proceeds for post-secondary education. Because if you have a 5 to 9 college savings plan and your child decides I ain't going to college, or I don't want to go to college,
Right.
my 21-year-old quit school after 2 years and he says he wants to be a rapper in Atlanta. Rap. I'm like, dude, you got it. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here, I know the point I'm trying to make here is this: if there was a 5 to 9 college savings plan for him, what are you going to do with that money? It's
Right.
earmarked for post-secondary education. And I want to make it very clear. Kids can learn skills and they can learn a trade or whatever, but post-secondary is post-secondary. And everybody wants their child to go to school. I think it's important. But nowadays, a lot of young people are talking about, I don't need college to make money. They're right with the internet, but no one can take this. Remember, you can use life insurance to fund post-secondary ed. You can use life insurance to fund a retirement. You can use life insurance for real estate investing. We do that all the time.
Wow, look at that. I mean, I think you just open all of our eyes to the possibilities of life insurance. Is not something that we should be afraid of anymore, but
Sure.
actually should look into how we can use it to benefit us in living, as well as should something happen to us and how our families can be protected.
Let me jump in real quickly. You
Sure.
just said in living. Most people don't realize that, living benefits is paramount because I can tell you how many people I know, and just because we have the health message in our churches, there is illnesses too.
Yeah.
Please don't think because we have the health message that we don't have. Some things are hereditary.
Right.
So prepare before it happens. Remember, we talked earlier about preparation, right? If you're preparing for your retirement, preparing for financial advice, you have to prepare. So the way you prepare is making sure you have the knowledge. Ask questions, read books. There's a book I recommend that most people should read. It's called Creating Generational Wealth. What the wealthy know that most that you don't know. It's written by a man named Douglas Aza, and he's a colleague of mine. And actually, the reason I like that book, it's very easy. What he did, he studied what the wealthy did and wrote it down so that the average person can do it. And there's another book by Eugene Mitchell. It's missing my mind right now, but I'll get it for you another time.
Yeah, and we can share it.
It talks about generational wealth for a minority. And what happens is a lot of times you keep hearing me talking about African Americans and minorities. I don't want to make it very clear. I'm not talking about, this is not just for Black folk. This is for Asians, Hispanics, Caucasians, Native American. I don't care who you are, but I'm saying, remember, most of us sometimes did not have this knowledge growing up. And some of us, our parents did the best that they could.
Right.
Now, with the internet and with,
No excuses.
There's no excuses. Find someone that you trust. Like I said earlier, it may not be me. I think I'm the best, but it may not be me. But do your research. Ask questions. Don't let anyone just tell you anything real quickly. And back in the day, some of us who grew up here, or some of us who was born here and our parents were here, we did not get the insurance needed They gave us what we thought we could afford.
Right.
That's not good because what's a, what if you have a grandparent and they have a life insurance policy and that's $500? What does that? It's not. Sometimes you have to protect your generations to come because imagine, think about it. Always make it better for the next. I'll
Right.
give you an example. I had a client in Virginia who owned a farm, and his kids lived in D.C. and Philly. And when he died, they just came down and just sold the property and get the money to move on. I don't know how they were going to pass this down to generations, but some of our Caucasian brothers and sisters, they passed that down to generations. Same thing with financial literacy. Pass it down. Life insurance, pass it down. Would it be nice, God, down the road when something happens to any one of us? You know, I I just think that, God forbid, I hope I live to be 91 like my dad or 103 like my grandmother. But if I don't, there's over $1 million as my children will receive. I made sure I put it in
Yeah.
place.
And
You know,
that gives you peace of mind.
yes, but if I live,
Mm.
I'm going to use it. You see, that's what you have to understand. Because educate them, give them a college degree so they can do their own. But God forbid, because Kobe Bryant was supposed to come home. And
Mm.
Kobe Bryant's not the average us because he was worth doggone near, I think he was like about $600 million, right? So they have it. But the average person, would it be nice? God forbid something happened to one of our constituent members and the family has $1 million legacy to help carry on, take care of bills, college, car payment, all the different things that we need. And remember, folks, life insurance is not about death, it's about living. And that's why I believe we should.
Absolutely. Wow. This has been powerful, enlightening even. And I'm kind of disappointed that this is our last segment for this month, but you have definitely shared a wealth of knowledge. And of course, there's more. I mean, these are things you can't cover in a 25-minute segment. But for those who are looking for additional information and some assistance, this is where you go. You email Havis or Terrence, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Right here at this email address, Bardouille Financial Services at gmail.com. Take a screenshot so you won't mess up the spelling.
I know.
And then, of course, you have two options there for us to reach you by cell and office, 864-607-1361 or 434-535-6099.
And remember, we're in a pandemic, folks. We can do a virtual consultation for you. It doesn't cost you anything. I want to make it very clear. I don't charge anything to talk to people. I mean, because remember earlier we talked about financial advisors. If someone's a RIA, a registered investment advisor, what they do, they charge you based on your assets, a percentage. We don't charge you. Education is free. I also do every Tuesday. I do on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, follow me. Send me a friend request. Tuesdays with Terrence. Terrence is my middle name. That's my government name. Havis Terrence Bardouille. And I do Tuesdays with Terrence. I cut up. I dance. When I say dancing, I'm from the islands and all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I try to make it entertaining for people, but then I drop knowledge and nuggets of what you should be doing. And the reason I do this, I don't have to do this because there's multiple ways for me to do my business. But I believe financial literacy, especially in the African American community, is lacking. And people need to know there are non-traditional ways where you can get out of debt with life insurance. You can use a pension with life insurance. You can have living benefits, kind of like long-term care with life insurance. And you can rule from the grave with life insurance, and it's all tax-free.
Free.
Legally.
Woo, bells and whistles with that one.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the wealth of knowledge that you have shared with us and being willing to help some of us who need additional help. We are so grateful for this opportunity. And we're probably going to bring you back later in the year and get some more tips from you because we know you have so much to share. But thanks again for everything. And we appreciate all that you have shared so far.
Thank you for your time. It's my pleasure. Blessings.
All right, everyone, you've heard it here. Now you know some of the steps that you need to take for your life insurance policies. And we hope you'll follow the advice that was given. But until then, we'll see you after this break. All right, everyone, we're back with AC Today Reports, and we're moving right into our Ministry Moment segment. And we're happy to have with us today Pastor Joseph Thelusca coming to us, and we want to welcome him at this time. How you doing, Pastor Thelusca?
Hey, Latasha, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Oh,
excited. I'm always excited to be with you.
awesome. So excited to have you. And we just always, it's been a few months since we last talked. How are things going with you and the church? Things still going well?
Yes, thank you for asking. Actually, by God's grace, we're getting adjusted to the new normal, and we're doing fine. I mean, the saints seems to be enjoying the virtual worship experience,
Okay.
and like I said, we're getting used to this new normal, and I'm anxious to go back. I'm ready to go back to the building, but listen, the building closed, but the church is open.
That's right. That's the most important part. And we also recognize right now going on is Black History Month, a very special month. And I know that you have been very intentional about highlighting this through a specific way with your church. How have you been doing that? What is one way that you're honoring Black History Month with your congregation?
Well, thank you for asking again, Latasha. Black History Month to me is American history, because when you look at the history of this country, the contribution of Black folks made this country what this country is, help to build this country. So it is really incumbent upon us to make sure that we take time to celebrate the contribution of African American in this country.
That's great. Wonderful, wonderful. And so I know you started kind of a panel discussion that you hold annually. Now, of course, typically it's held is it held at the church live?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so this year it will be virtual. You're still continuing this tradition. So what inspired you to do that specifically? A lot of people have, we do a lot of international days during the month of February to celebrate different cultures. But you decided to go a different route and do kind of a panel discussion annually. So what inspired you to go that route in terms of a way to celebrate this month?
About 6 years ago, I decided myself in conjunction with my local leadership team to really create and form some partnership, with the community, and I decided that one of the best ways to really highlight the contribution of African American to this country is to bring some great minds together, inside my church now virtually, to really tackle some of the really relevant and pressing issues.
Right. That's great. That's great. Now, when you talk about the pressing issues, what are some of the things that you've covered, some topics you guys have covered in the past? And we'll talk about the one that's coming up this weekend, but in the past, what are the topics usually?
Well, thank you for asking, Natasha. Last year, as you can imagine, it was a very important year. So last year, our focus was on diversity and inclusion in corporate America, and also empowering young men, empowering our Black young men. And I tell you, we had a great time last year. Actually, the Secretary of State, New Jersey Secretary of State, was our lead panelist.
Oh.
And also we had the superintendent for the Asbury Park School District. And, we were able also the governor's senior advisor was there. And also we had a state senator that was there. So we were able last year with this partnership between my church and some of those, important folks in the community, leaders in the community, we were able to give out 2 scholarships to local high school seniors.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, that's real meaningful. It's not just a discussion. You're kind of putting your money where your mouth is. That's very, very important. And I know you selected, and we'll see that from this weekend's panel, people from the community, influential people who, are connected to serving others. Have you noticed just the impact of building those relationships ahead of time? I mean, what have you seen in terms of being able to kind of call upon them for such a time as these panel discussions?
Well, Natasha, let me give you an example. It's important that when we try to, highlight things to kind of, bring it home, because of one of the relationship that I formed, with one of the board members, with the Neptune Board of Education, one of my members who was a temporary employee in one of the schools and the Neptune school district, because I back then, I happened to, befriend and I got to know the board president. Well, there was an opening at for one of the job at the local school, and because I was able to have a relationship with the board president, my church member, this brother was able to to get hired full time, because the board, the local board, they are the one who vote to hire or let people go. So because of my relationship, I was able to not just preach on the pulpit, but be able to make phone calls.
Yeah, no, that's the real practical help that members need. I mean, they want the word, but they also want to be able to provide for their families and have gainful employment. And so in so many ways, it's showing us how getting to know the people in the community, making those connections, can benefit ministry and can help us when we're trying to, push forth things that do serve others. And so I'm excited about this weekend's discussion, this panel discussion. I'm just going to put it up there for everyone to be able to see. This weekend, the discussion is centering around how to create Black wealth and bridge the wealth and inequality gap. And, this is something that we have discussed before. So I'm very interested to see what these panelists have to say. Can you share a little bit with us about the panelists that we have who will be part of this discussion?
Sure. Well, thank you for posting the flyer, on the screen. It looks beautiful. and I think, I first of all, I want to thank you for accepting to be there to serve as moderator for us.
Oh, my pleasure.
That is so kind. That is so kind of you, Latasha. Well, one of the first things that I should say, put out there, is that New Jersey, many people don't realize that, Latasha, New Jersey is one of the richest states in the union. One of the richest states in the country. However, when you look at the wealth gap, it's one of the worst in terms of inequality. Yeah. New Jersey is on the top of the list in terms of the wealth gap and the inequality between white family and Black families.
It's true. It's true. And I that's why I think it's so important to talk about that, and the people that you have coming on board to kind of offer their expertise and their perception, I think is going to be great. I'm looking at, some of the people we have, lawyers on here, we have CEOs, we have doctors, and people who can kind of offer different perspectives that we may not always hear. And I think that it's going to really be an interesting discussion. So we definitely want people, if you're watching this, tune in, join us this coming Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. And the information to join is right there, the stream information. Come learn a little something you may not know, or be exposed to a different perspective that you may not have heard before. And I like the diversity that's on this panel. I'm looking forward to the discussion. We want to make sure we let our constituents know that this is happening in case they wanted to be a part of it as well. But I'm so glad, like I said before, that you saw, or the Lord placed a burden in your heart to highlight our history in kind of a different way, because you're dealing with practical issues that we face as Blacks and people of color. And it's not just about identifying the problem, but creating solutions. So I think that's the important takeaway from these panel discussions that you have annually.
Great. And Natasha, thank you so much for that insight you just brought out. Now, I tell you, I must give a shout out to my church family, the Mount Olivet SD Church.
That's right.
They are a good old bunch, and I'm just blessed to have been served as the senior pastor for the past 6.5 years. And I have a great team. I have a great team working with me. This thing is not a one-man show. It's a team effort. So I praise God for, placing around me a great team of people to help me to be able to, plan and execute this kind of event. Now, one thing I would like to, point out is that, Natasha, one of these panelists, David Byrd is the former national director of the MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency. Just stepped down after serving for 2 years. Now, people might need to understand the MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency, is the lead federal agency that is there to help, to support, and to provide resources for all minority businesses in this country.
Oh, wow.
Last year in 2020, under Dave Bird leadership, by the way, Dave Bird is my friend and my personal friend and mentor for over 22 years.
Wow.
Under his tutelage, under his leadership, Dave was able to help minority business in this country secure over $2.6 billion businesses.
Woo.
Over $2.6 billion businesses. He was able to help minorities secure procurement under his leadership. So this is real. We are bringing people who have been there, people who's making it happen for our folks, for our community.
Right. So these are people who are not just talking about it, but they're actively working towards the same topic that we're talking about, bridging that wealth gap and providing equality for all people. So this is great. This is great. I look forward to the discussion. It's going to be interesting.
Yes.
And if people have questions, we will entertain questions from the audience. So if you have questions about this very topic, come join in, and we'll ask your question from the chat if you go. So thank you. I'm excited. Looking forward to Saturday. And yes. I think it's going to be a great conversation.
Great.
Thank you for your vision.
Thank you for the opportunity to highlight this, and I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to have a great time, and hopefully when at the end of this panel we want an actionable item. We want a call to action, and yes. The call to action is to create a movement to bridge the gap, the wealth gap between our Black brothers and sisters and our white community and our white families.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those action steps, and we're going to make sure our constituents are aware of them as well. All right, thanks again. It's a pleasure speaking to you, and I guess I'll see you again this weekend. But we always enjoy having you on the show. Take care.
Thank you. See you.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back after a break.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
we discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure love.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to AEC Today Reports. We're moving on to our next segment, which has become one of our favorites, and that is the Ask the Pastor segment. And as we have been doing over the last few weeks, we have our guest pastor, Dr. Mark McCleary. We're happy that he's joining us today. We're going to invite him on at this time. How you doing, great doctor?
Oh, man, I'm just, I'm blessed, highly favored, hearing the complaints from people to God that he's just doing too much goodness for me, and they spend too much. No,
I love it. I love that. Complaints about too much good. Okay.
Yes, not bad. You say you're blessing him too much, man. I'm good. I'm
a witness. So, we've had some interesting questions over the last couple of weeks, and you've done your thing with responding to them. And this is the question for today. Actually, it's kind of appropriate for what we're going through now with the pandemic and things being virtual. And people are just starting to rethink church altogether. Wow. And so, that being said, the question for today is church attendance a requirement of a Christian? Do I gotta go to church? I mean, I love God. Do I gotta go to church? What do you say?
Well, I tell you, since we started this virtual platform in March 2020, Lord have mercy, that I begun to think, I said, oh man, I wonder if them folk gonna come back to this physical planet. I think some of them are, but I think some they like this. Yeah, they like this. This platform. They done learn how to. I got 3 seniors, and man, I don't know nothing about no computer and none of that. Now they on. that front and center. Hey, pastor, what's that?
In the chat and everything.
Yeah, all that. I said, oh my goodness, we done got these folk, man. We done let them loose now. Yeah, but let's. I'm gonna use something that I said. I think I've said it both times, and that's the element of sociality. We are independent, yes, but we are interdependent. I need the folk out in Iowa, Nebraska, them farmers that grow that corn. You like frosted flakes, or maybe you health conscious and you don't want no sugar on your stuff, but you didn't grow that stuff. You better be praying for them people. You up in it's great. Yeah, it's great because he got up and did what he needed to do. Everything. We don't grow our own food. We don't build our own houses. So you need somebody. I'm 70 years old. God bless it. Really? January 20. I was 70. I hit the 70-year mark. If I had a chance, I could let you see my balloon, one of the remaining balloons that my wife put up and all that. But thank you. But I don't know this phenomenon called church. I don't care what you call it, Seventh-day Adventist, Baptist, Catholic. We've had a building. You've got entrance, egression, and all of that stuff. And it depends upon what your service is, whether you Episcopalian or Lutheran, Catholic, and the priest does everything. Or if you Presbyterian and maybe the elders are more involved. If you congregational, everything focuses around the pastor. Sort of. It depends upon that. We've been in church. We had a bulletin probably. You got ushers, ushers and ushers. It's basically the same blueprint. Everybody got church. And what happens is, instead of us looking at church from a glass half full perspective, we made it a glass half empty. We look more from our deficit. And rather than looking at people as assets, we up here Hadfield and McCoy up in the church, and church becomes problematic. Again, I think I said it last week or maybe organizational development. A church is an organization. It has a vision, mission, objective that we believe is Bible-based and God-oriented, but it's an organization. And whenever you bring in more than one person, you got a different way of seeing things.
Right.
And instead of us getting all excited and upset, go start another church because we voted, well, the carpet gonna be blue. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's always like insignificant things, right?
Yeah, or we talked about, I think couple weeks ago, we talked about church discipline, where you slap McCleary's son on the wrist and threw the book at my daughter and put out the church up. Come on now. The church, there's the risk of being biased and unfair, and there is also the blessing of a multiplicity of minds in God, in Christ, filled with the Holy Ghost, trying to do the vision, mission, objectives of God. So, folk laugh and they tell me, I ain't making it today. I'm going to stay at first. What is it? The first church of mattress, or the Baptist house or something, whatever it is. Yeah, they talking, and sometimes it's because they overwork themselves, so they tired. Well, the Sabbath is for rest. Well, you ought to be temperate the rest of the time too. You ought to pay your tithe and offering, but you need to use that other 9/10 or whatever you got so you don't get in debt. So when we think about church, and if you just use the Bible, there never has not been some kind of group with God. That's true. Adam was there for a bit. Not good, the man should be alone. Now here come the woman. There's a group. Just two of them, but it's a group.
Right.
And we see the development of groups, family. Cain and Abel's daughters and everybody else. And then we see as the church, as the Bible reads on, we see the development of the synagogue. Jesus shows up. He goes where? To the synagogue. Where did Paul go? Every time he went someplace, start a church, he went to the synagogue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can say that. And I guess you got your reason. I don't need to go to church because maybe you upset with the pastor. You upset with somebody. And yeah, I'm a boycott. You could do that, but you don't see anything where people live in isolation that thrives and that magnetizes folk. So church is about collectivity. It's about trying to find homeostasis between interdependence of people. So you got the house churches in Acts, still a church. Yeah. Then we see the development of the bishop, the presbyter, the congregational. I'll close up with that. I used to watch the Lone Ranger. Hi, old Silver, away. Well, you know, there's sometimes they had episodes where the Lone Ranger got tired. He wasn't getting out of that. I even saw one Superman. Superman was tired and couldn't get out. I mean, there's no way he gonna get out. If it wasn't for Tonto for the Lone Ranger, or Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane for Superman, we wouldn't have had another episode. So everybody needs somebody. We got to learn how to put our differences aside and find out how we can stay on course for the vision, mission, and objectives, and work out our differences. If it's a conflict, some difference of opinion, somebody misbehaved, they didn't do right, then we've got to do that for the good of the overall goal and destiny of the church, of which I say I'm a part. Yeah. So it's easy for me to point the finger. America ain't this, and there's a lot that we can look like America. I could say, well, they say your father was no good, his father was no good, and all that might be true, but that don't mean that's my blueprint. The whole message of the gospel and the message of the church is God can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Amen. That's what we need to celebrate, is that God can put us back together again, make us productive rather than headed toward problems and perdition. So yeah, my thing is, I ain't gonna say it need to be quiet, but I don't see how you gonna be able to live in this world and not fellowship with somebody. And if you're gonna fellowship, you got to bring your gifts with you. And if you're gonna bring your gifts, you got to use your gifts. And if you're using your gifts, how can you just say, well, I think I'm gonna resign, I'm gonna retire right now? Come on, it ain't finished. He said, until I return. So if you want to go ahead and you want to philosophize and talk about that, then go ahead. But in reality, Black Lives Matter is not going to be successful unless those people group together and demonstrate. Churches are not going to be together unless they find that vision, mission, objective of God and sharpen it tomorrow, do better tomorrow than they did today. Families or whatever are not going to be better unless you learn from today's mistakes, eliminate them, pick up and do what's better tomorrow, and start pressing toward the promised land.
Amen. Yeah. I love it. I think what you're emphasizing here is just the church is a people. And
it's people.
We got to stop
in process. People in process.
Yes. Right.
So we toe up from the flow up, and yet God has invested in us. What it says, I know he's the original, temptation. I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let y'all not know what I'm talking about, man. Y'all can't handle that. Y'all can't handle that. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So we got to let go of those excuses that we give for isolating ourselves. Like you said, we see a pattern in the Bible. That was important.
That's it.
So It still should be to us as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I'm sorry to see this is our last week together with this segment, but hopefully you'll return again and answer some more questions. But we appreciated how you tackled questions over the last 3 weeks. We've definitely benefited from your expertise.
Now, will we see some kind of note? I know my church would love to receive this. Will we get some kind of notice so that they can?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Every every Thursday, 7 p.m.
Okay. All right. I'll tell them because they don't want to be heard. Well, Pat McCleary was on. He ain't even tell us.
Their pastor.
Yeah, tell us nothing. I said, well, y'all need to hear these three because it's on discipline, it's on calling, and it's on church attendance. Yeah, y'all need to hear all of them.
Mercy.
Oh Lord,
they were all yours. But
yeah.
But before we go, I do want you. I know you have a personal ministry. If you don't mind sharing, you liked all of these wonderful things that the good doctor has shared. He has a ministry outside of Liberty.
I thank you. In a sense, it is outside because organizationally, IRS wise, and all of that,
right.
it has its own board and all that. And you can see behind me my little billboard, Mark McCleary Ministry. It's been something that has come to fruition. I'm a nonprofit. I'm registered. I'm on GoFund, all of that kind of stuff. I got my IRS paper. So I'm Mark McCleary Ministry, but I'm still a Seventh-day Adventist pastor.
And I that, right?
Yeah, no question about it until they put me out. But I have my own vision, mission, objectives, and when I need to sponsor something that may be a little bit nuanced of difference, I don't have to worry about. I'll say Mama Claire Ministry endorses this. This is not the whatever, but right. www.3mmm.org, and they can check me out, see what it's about, how they want to get involved or whatever. Tuesday night, in fact, tonight, not tonight, Tuesday nights. Oh, you Thursday night. We Thursday night. I'll be Tuesday night. I'm Tuesday night, 2 days ahead of you. I do 7 o'clock a Bible study, so they can find out about
Tuesday at 7.
Tuesday 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. So you see that address there, www.3mmm.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Mark McCleary Ministries. Awesome. Thank you so much. Taking some time to share the wisdom. We appreciate it. And those of you who have questions out there, you need to be answered. Of course, there's my email address, lhugh@aecsda.com. Send it to us. Let's get it on the program. All right, Dr. McCleary, thank you once again. God bless you and all that you do.
Appreciate letting me into your living room and your hospitality.
No problem. All right, everyone, we'll be right back after a short break.
On Wednesday's lesson, we have the question and response. Isaiah 40 verse 18. To whom then will ye liken God? Or what likeness will ye compare unto him? For Isaiah, as for Job, the answer goes without saying, no one. So again, Isaiah has gotten to this point of the prophecy. He's like, who can compare to God, the creator? In his mind, no one can compare to God. He continues, God is incomparable. But Isaiah picks up on his question and refers to the answer that many ancient people implied by their actions, which is that God is like an idol. To this notion, Isaiah responds, already it looks foolish to use an idol as a likeness of God, but just to be sure people get the point, he elaborates on God's uniqueness and brings in the unanswerable argument that he is the holy creator. Remember, family, we have to remember where we are in this story. Remember, the people, their leaders had led them to error, right? King Ahaz had put all these these altars to false gods, removing God's temples, removing God's altar. So again, the people have been in the situation of confusion. They've been seeing false gods worshipped. They've been seeing people sacrificing their children to these false gods. And now Isaiah is coming and is like, okay, listen, guys. I know you have been a little confused because you've watched people worship false gods, but there's no God that can compare to our God, the one true God. This is why Isaiah is using the language he's using in this prophecy. Exactly that part. Who is like the Lord? Nobody at all. And Isaiah is explaining this to the people. The people had been surrounded by idols and were confused about who God truly is. Isaiah wanted them to understand that God is merciful and powerful. He wants to save them because he is merciful, and he's able to save them because he is powerful.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Of course, we couldn't end any show without bringing on Fitness with Faye. We enjoy this segment because it keeps reminding us of all those things we know we should be doing, but maybe are not. And so we're going to bring on Faye Gregory, our fitness guru. How are you doing today, Faye?
Wonderful, Latasha. It's great to be back with you all.
Awesome.
Yes.
Every month we decided we want to come back and revisit some of the things that we've been talking about, somewhat of a month report card, one to check in. You all can check in to see how you're doing with these items. But we want to make sure that everything that Faye is sharing with us is not falling on deaf ears, So every month we're going to recap some of the things that we've talked about to make sure they're staying fresh in our minds, ourselves included. So Faye, help us refresh our memories. Help us remember some of the things that we've talked about this month that we need to be intentional about.
Okay, absolutely, Latasha. This new year and the past months have continued to present formidable challenges and obstacles to our good health and fitness, with significant increases in obesity, deep venous thrombosis, DVT, pulmonary and respiratory problems, and coronary issues, which may be resulting from less activity in our lifestyle and changes in our dietary habits during this pandemic, from us being so sedentary. Along with medical care and subscribing to God's health plan, we can still achieve an optimum level of health. Our previous segments on healthcare and fitness can help us focus on preventive self-care despite the systemic inequality of lack of quality service. Remember the importance of goal setting. So let's review the Fitness with Faye tips for 2021. Don't let 2021 be a rerun of 2020.
Oh, no.
Tip number 1, make yourself a priority.
Yes.
You are important, viewers. You matter. Take time for yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, how could you take care of everyone else? It all starts with you. Think of yourself, your exercise, your health and wellness as important business meetings. You wouldn't want to miss that important business meeting.
That's right.
Okay, so make yourself a priority daily, weekly. Number 2, make your goals measurable and sustainable. Make them achievable. Don't make your goals so high up here that they're hard to reach. Take baby steps.
That's right.
Crawl if you must, one day at a time. Start off, 1 week at a time. That's all it takes, viewers.
That's right.
That's all it takes. Put some effort in it. And number 3, make your self-care a part of your health care.
That's one of my
It's not
favorites.
selfish to take care of yourselves. And I'm not talking about just getting your hair done or your nails done. It's not selfish to make self-care a part of your health care. Taking time to work out, taking time to just be alone, to sit and just read the Bible or just read your devotion, pray. It's okay. Make your self-care a part of your health care.
That's one of my favorite ones, I have to say.
Okay, so we want to remember those Fitness with Faye tips for 2021 as we carry on throughout the year.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you haven't started moving yet, viewers, take baby steps. Like I said, one day at a time. To do something is better than doing nothing at all.
Wow.
Also helps to support your immune system. You can watch My Fitness with Faye videos and work out with a buddy or a group at a safe time. You can also work out, regularly with your family. Put on the videos and do the videos together. There's a nice variety. We have a library of different forms of workout for everybody. You may not feel like working out, but we can encourage one another, viewers. We can certainly encourage one another, and always helps to work out with a buddy. Just because we're in social isolation doesn't mean we can't work out as a group. Okay, so we want to keep these magnificent bodies moving and taking care of our bodies inside out. When we're taking care of our bodies and we're feeling good, we're going to look better. We're going to smile more. I know you've got to be tired of feeling sick and tired.
Absolutely.
Okay. Latasha, remember that saying that I went over maybe a few segments ago about a man or woman will spend all of their life gaining their wealth. In turn, to spend all of their wealth gaining their health. And a lot of times they're not successful.
That's true.
It's important to start now, viewers. It's not too late.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I feel like, we're reviewing these things every month, but every time I hear them, I feel like, yes, I'm motivated to do better in all of these areas. But that's the thing about health, is one of those areas that for some reason we need to kind of be pushed or encouraged to do some of these things, until it becomes permanent part of our lifestyle. So that's why it's definitely so important, because I'm listening to you again and I'm like, yes, I know these things. I just have to do better at them. So it's good to hear it again.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for those people who kind of are like me and need a little push, I noticed you reference working out with other people. I think that's a great idea. We're having a lot of virtual birthday parties. I've been to virtual birthday parties. I've been to virtual showers. I haven't yet had a virtual workout session. With friends. So that might be something that we can adopt. That's
exactly. And it will be fun. I make exercise fun. Just pop on one of my videos and we can work out together.
Yeah, I like that.
If you'd like, I can join you live. Virtually.
Right. Maybe we'll work on that. We'll have like a live
whole family involved. Yeah.
I like that. And even for families, you mentioned families. I know so many families who are getting together virtually because they can't come together right now in person. Instead of just getting on and talking with your family while you're meeting and catching up, tell everybody to stand up, start walking, or stretch your arms. And
reach. There you go.
Yeah.
Move your body.
What shirt do you have on today, Faye? We love your shirts.
Today I have on Fight with Heart.
Yes, we're still focusing on heart health.
One of the main killers of men and women across the United States. One of our number one causes of death, which is preventable.
It is.
By taking better care, eating healthier, moving.
And I love my new Cheerios. I'm a big Cheerio fan, the original. I only like the original Cheerios. And, right now to focus on the importance of heart health, they have heart-shaped Cheerios. So whenever I eat my Cheerios, I'm reminded, yes, I'm taking care of my heart. It's good to be intentional about that. But thank you so much, Faye. It was great revisiting some of these tips. And
you're very welcome.
Like I said, bringing them back to the forefront. And we'll continue to do that with you viewers until we feel like we've gotten some nice traction. All of these tips, though, as Faye said, are tips for the whole 2021. So, everything that we share going forward will kind of relate to all of these things, self-care and, making yourself a priority, all of those things, and being intentional about measuring what you're doing so you can continue as you look at your success. So we wish you well in your health journeys.
Absolutely. Latasha, we are creatures of habit. So why not develop fitness as a habit? What do you think about that?
That's great. Make that part of it. It's
Let's
instinctual.
move with intention, push with conviction.
I love that. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Faye.
You're very welcome.
I'm motivated.
Stay tuned, viewers. I'm working on a video for older adults. Coming out soon within a few weeks. Okay, so for those of you who are less mobile, I'm going to have some wonderful seated exercises and just exercises for beginners. It's going to be really fun. You'll enjoy.
Great. Thanks. Oh, sneak peek. Okay, we can't wait to have those. Well, Faye, thank you so much once again for joining us and all the great information. All right, everyone, we'll be right back after another break.
The Bible tells us in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." If there were ever a time that we needed to come together in prayer, it is now. Therefore, our president, Elder Henry Fordham, is calling on you to join us as we band together in prayer. Pray corporately with us every day at 12 p.m., and in addition, 3 times a day. We believe that God will honor the faithfulness of His people as we band together in prayer. Please pray with us and watch God move.
All right, everyone, that wraps up this evening's program. We're so grateful that you tuned in. Just a few announcements for you. We hope that you were able to watch the town hall that happened this past Sunday. If not, guess what? It's archived, obviously, on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. You can check those out if you missed any information. And we still have the presentations on our website. Visit aec.org if you'd like to see those as well. Also, the Upset Podcast. It was launched this past Sunday. If you didn't get to check that out, also archived on the same places. But the podcast can be downloaded from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and even Google Podcasts. So go ahead and download those episodes. We'll have a fresh one for you coming up every Sunday at 6 p.m. And for all of those out there who are like, oh, what's happening in our conference? I never seem to get the news. Sign up for our newsletter. If you want to do that, you're going to go to visitac.org/news. Scroll a little bit and you'll see sign up for the newsletter. We want as many of you connected to the information we're putting out every week. All right, guys, that's all the announcements for me. Once again, we want to thank all of our guests for joining us. And we'll see you back here next Thursday, because the more you watch, the more you know. Have a great weekend.
Genesis chapter 50, we hear the voice of Joseph saying that everything you, speaking to his brothers, intended for evil or my harm, God reweaved it and reconstructed it for my good. And we are getting a sense of that even in Exodus chapter 1. Although Pharaoh intended to harm Israel and hurt Israel and hinder Israel, God had a way of turning those very things around for Israel's good, because the Bible says that Pharaoh's opposition did not stop Israel's expansion, and Egypt's oppression could not stifle Israel's multiplication. I'll say it one more time. Because God was working things out for Israel's good, Pharaoh's opposition could not stop their expansion, and Egypt's oppression could not prevent their multiplication. This is Black History Month, is it not? That sounds a lot like a story you and I are familiar with. Has it not been the testimony embedded permanently and indelibly into the fabric fabric of this nation's history, that although people have approached the communities of Black and brown persons with cruelty, with dehumanization, and attempts to rob us of a sense of identity, we're still growing and we're still going. And I'm glad today that it's not just a result of our own prowess. It's not even just the result of the sacrifice and the contributions of persons who look like us. Persons of every shade, hue, and ethnic descent have said we can tell the difference between right and wrong, and we will advance the cause of justice, of equality, of mercy and grace. I'm glad that God continues to prove throughout history up until this 20th day of February in the year of our Lord 2021, that God knows how to stay the tide of evil.